little bit less. So when you average the daytime high, and we're all familiar with wherever you live, it gets hotter during the day and cooler during the night, and on the moon it's super hot during the day and super cold during the night. So that's what the greenhouse effect does, is protect us. We should be looking to naturally take care of things that we're doing. It's interesting, the East Coast is sinking a little bit. The land is actually sinking, and the ocean's been rising about a little less than an inch a decade since 1880, and that hasn't changed. That hasn't changed, folks. But the East Coast of the United States is sinking just a little bit, so you're getting a little more ocean rise there. The West Coast actually is rising a little bit, particularly Alaska and Seattle area, and they're rising a little bit. And interestingly, Sweden has risen about 3 feet in the last 100 years out of the ocean. So their ocean levels are declining. So the Earth is moving and doing something on time scales we're not familiar with, and there really isn't any climate issue. And all this money that we're spending to so-called transition our energy is harming the West and benefiting communist China. And we don't have a climate issue. And we can't fight Mother Nature, and we can't control the climate. We should adapt to it. In places that are sinking or that are having water issues, or whatever issues there are, we should build dikes, or we should mitigate those things. We should be spending our money wisely. Contrary to what they want you to believe out of Washington, we don't have an endless supply of funds. We're $30 trillion in debt, and they estimate that to grow to $50 trillion in debt over the next 10 years. So it's kind of interesting, crazy times now where we're not connected with facts. Facts don't seem to matter a lot, but it won't matter what our feelings are. When your electricity doesn't work, like Storm Uri in February of 2 years ago in 2021, and then what we just had with Storm Elliott, when you don't have your electricity and it's cold or super hot, you feel it, you know it. And that's more of what we should be worrying about than what the climate's going to do, because we can't control it anyway. I got a quick question, a little divergent back to it. George, if you don't know, I hope I don't embarrass you, but almost no one knows. It's cleverly hidden, very, very much hidden. Secret. It's not even on the chemical charts, so I'm giving you a little bit of a clue. But what's the most abundant, important, impactful greenhouse gas that keeps us at a regular about 59 degrees temperature across the world with variances up and down? Is it carbon dioxide, methane?
I'd say it's I would say it's hydrogen.
It is not. Our atmosphere is made up of nitrogen is about 78%, about 77%. Oxygen is about 21%. It's water vapor. Water vapor.
But isn't there hydrogen and water vapor?
It's water vapor in the clouds from almost 75%.
H2O, right?
H2O. And I don't think the IPCC and others could demonize nor pretend to control water vapor. So they cleverly ignore it. It's as if it doesn't exist. And when you bring it up to the climate, the climate religionists, and you talk about it, it's like, well, it's a feedback loop, because a warming world can hold more water vapor. It'll just keep warming more and more and more. So CO2 is the control knob, but water vapor, which is 95, water vapor in clouds, which is 95% of the greenhouse effect, are ignored. And they pretend that the trace gas is a control knob for a very complicated system.
Red light camera ahead.
It's crazy to me. And they say, well, it'll create a feedback loop. And it took me a while. I kept thinking about it. That argument is because warmer air can hold more water vapor doesn't mean that it will. Think of the deserts of the world, the major deserts, Sahara, Gobi, the Death Valley, the dry West. Just because we have a warmer world doesn't mean there will be more water vapor. And in some places there are. The eastern part of the United States gets about 10% more rain than they did 50 years ago. For most of us, we'd say that's a good thing for those who want to grow crops like flowers and want to keep their lawns dry. And I'm up here in Wisconsin. My lawn dries out in the summer, so obviously we aren't getting as much water as we could use.
Why is it that this is such a quote-unquote hot topic? The fact that people don't talk about it anymore, they argue with each other.
Well, I think shut us down from arguing about it, because there's a lot, like myself, they want to lazily retire and then we don't have to listen to you anymore. We're done with you, you don't get it.
We hate you.
MIT, who studied this lifetime. They say it's false. They say this is made up. It's made up to gain control. They're gaining control of this. They're using it now that they've convinced the sheep this is dangerous when it's not, that we have to do something about it right now with an urgency. It's not, and it's very expensive, and it won't work. So it will not work and power our electric grid. It just won't. But it's highly expensive. People are getting rich off of it. And we're buying China's supplies, the vast majority, about 75% of the batteries, the inner components of wind, and the solar panels of all the world are coming from China. And all the rare earth minerals that are being processed, most of them are processed in China. Many of them are mined in China. China controls many of the mines in Africa for cobalt and other rare metals that are needed to make the batteries and other components. China's position as we buy more and more of this, we're sending our money to China, weakening our electric independence, and weakening our economy because we're spending money unnecessarily. All of us have more money in our pockets if our electric rates didn't go up. A dirty secret, in the last 20 years, our electric demand has not increased at all, even though we have a lot more people, a lot more businesses, a lot more, because our computers are more efficient, our TVs are more efficient, our lighting is more efficient. So we have a lot more people using electricity, but in 20 years, our electric usage across the country hasn't gone up at all. In some places that have grown a lot are using more, and some places that have not grown are using less. But why are we investing in something that's working? Why are we trying to replace it with something that cannot work, that is going to cost us more money? It's not in our best interest.
Frank, whatever happened to Al Gore? He fell off the map.
Well, Al Gore is still out there making predictions. He just made a crazy prediction that the heat in the oceans are like 600 atomic bombs. We're all going to die. Off the charts, crazy talk. Now, he's the guy who famously one of the things that kicked us off was a discredited movie that has a whole bunch of things that are wrong in there. Because factually, CO2 follows warming. And it's easy if you think about it, is if you open a can of Coke in a warm environment, it'll off-gas its CO2 faster than if you put it in the refrigerator. And you can do that experiment at home. You open 2 cans of Coke or whatever your favorite beverage is, CO2 is the bubbles in it. CO2 is what you got, the bubbles in your beer and in your champagne and in our sodas, our sparkling waters. Put one in the fridge and put one on the counter and check it in an hour or two, which is just by mouth you can tell. And that's what's happening is more CO2 is because it's warmer, like water vapor. It can hold more water vapor, and it has a little bit, but not evenly across the world. It follows. Ice cores show it follows. Al Gore said it's the opposite. CO2 drives temperature. So Al Gore also made the same prediction several times that the Arctic would be ice free. Well, it is down about 15%, but it was higher in the 70s. And I remind people, many of your listeners might remember the coming ice age of the 70s. When they tried to pretend that didn't exist, that was just cringe back then. But actually, I've studied it closely. I was a kid in the 70s. I remember that, talking about it, but it was distant, far away from me. And then they switched on a dime to global warming, and now they've switched to climate change because global warming may have peaked. We haven't warmed in the last 9 years. It's actually going down a little bit. And they erased. They went from the book. So deep as conspiracy goes. Actually, we have records. We know what they are. There was a earthquake in 1940, roughly 1940 to mid-1970s. And the ice age. And it's been warming ever since. We've been adding CO2 to the environment in the air throughout all that time. We have more CO2 now, and that's part of their part and parcel of the climate faith, is that more CO2 means more temperature rising. Well, we've emitted more CO2, but the temperature's peaked. In May, no honest person can tell you what the temperature will be 10 years from now or 50 or 100 years from now. It can go any direction. We don't know. It has.
Most meteorologists can't tell you what the weather's going to be like next week.
Exactly. And that's because it changes. I mean, it changes, and we all know that. You wake up in the morning, you go outside, and by the end of the day, it could be raining, it could be snowing, it could be anything. It changes. That's the weather, and it always will, because the way the Earth's system of weather works. The sun comes in, it heats up the equator, the warm warm air evaporates, the moist air floats up, it floats towards the poles. When the cold air from the poles hits the warm air, the earth spins, so there's always wind. And when they hit each other, that's when we get weather. And the more variance between hot and cold, the greater the weather event. That's why we're getting milder. They're telling us we have more hurricanes. We don't. We don't have more hurricanes. We don't factually, using the UN IPCC reports, the science, not what the politicians put out there first, the media propagandizes us with. There's no trend in drought. There's no trend in floods. There's no trend in hurricanes. Tornadoes and violent tornadoes are actually down in the United States. We should be celebrating the good times we're living in instead of doing this crazy energy policy.
And, you know, there's no question, too, Frank, that if there is climate change, it doesn't necessarily have to be man-made created. It's, like you mentioned, the sun and the solar system.
Well, to me, it's Dick Linden, Professor Dick Linden from MIT, says that to believe that CO2 is the control knob of all of our climate when it is a trace gas, belief in magic. It is the biggest lie perpetrated on all of us. At some point we'll discover it, folks. And when I think longer term, when our electric rates start to double, and it's not very far off, more people will be looking around for the fact, and maybe will become more receptive to the message I'm bringing you right now, that CO2 is necessary for life. And I tell you, why is it that plants grow better at 1,000 to 2,000 parts per million of CO2? Greenhouses pay to pump it in so the plants grow, and they grow a lot better. It costs money to put green CO2 into a greenhouse so the plants grow better, and plants were designed to have more. I mean, historically, over Earth's time, we should be trying to double and triple CO2 in the atmosphere, not to take it out or limit it. And by the way, it'll take 200 years us to get the current rates, the last few decades, rates of CO2 increase. It'll take 200 years to double CO2 from about 425 to 850, and I see only benefits from that. So I'm not just a climate denier. I'm a climate realist, first of all. They want to call me a denier. I guess I'm a heretic because I'm saying their religion is just bunk.
Yeah, I don't like the phrase denier, because just the fact that you think differently on what is changing things doesn't mean that you're wrong or evil.
Well, absolutely. And the reason they use the word denier is it's connecting in people's subconscious to Holocaust deniers. We all know that Germany during World War II and other participated countries, killed millions and millions of people, at least 6 million Jews, and 20-30 million Russians died during that time that we don't even think about or talk about historically. And that's what they're connecting to. That you're a denier, Holocaust deniers, and that's just so wrong. And the reason they won't debate, the reason they do that is once you start to learn what I'm telling you now and think about it a little bit critically, their argument is so thin, it's unbelievable. But they based a whole bunch of, they built lie upon lie upon lie in order to get where they are now. They're at the culmination point. Europe, there are European cities, Oxford is one, that are they're dividing the city into 15-minute zones, and you can't leave your zone by car more than 100 times a year.
Oh, crazy.
If you do, you will pay a $70 fine every time.
Unbelievable. Frank, we're gonna take a quick break here and come back and chat more about your work, and then we'll take an hour of phone calls with you in just a few minutes on Coast to Coast AM. And one of the things I want to talk with you about when we come back is your thoughts on oil. I've been believing all my life that we've got abiotic oil, that the planet, when it was formed, had it. I don't believe it's a fossil fuel, but let's get your take on it.
The Coast website is now conveniently optimized for mobile devices. If you're a Coast insider, you can listen to live and past shows right on your phone. Just visit coasttocoastam.com on your iPhone or Android browser.
I'm George Norrie, and this is Coast to Coast AM on KSRO.
A lot of the programming you hear on KSRO is available on demand. So if you enjoyed this past weekend's On the Wine Road, you can hear it anytime you want. Visit our website and click on your favorite show and listen at your leisure. We're always on and always on demand at KSRO.com.
Sonoma County's FM News Talk, KSRO.
Join Dr. Walter Tom for the latest procedures and trends in cosmetic surgery every Thursday on KSRO. If you've been wanting to refresh your look and aren't sure what to do, Dr. Tom and his team at Dr. Tom Cosmetic Surgery are here to help. Consistently voted best cosmetic surgeon in Sonoma County, you can trust Dr. Tom to help you look and feel your very best. Listen to Ask the Expert with Dr. Tom Cosmetic Surgery every Thursday at 12:30 on KSRO.
It's prime whale watching season on the Sonoma coast. Reserve a room at the Inn at the Tides, then set out for Bodega Head. Through May, you can spot Pacific gray whales as they migrate north to Alaska.
Every room has a view of the bay. The Tides Wharf restaurant is open daily from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. Your stay includes a complimentary bottle of wine in your room, heated indoor-outdoor pool, and complimentary breakfast on the waterfront.
Tell your smartphone to call the Inn at the Tides in Bodega Bay. The Inn at the Tides, your beacon to Bodega Bay.
I'm Stephen Curry.
I'm Steve Kerr. I'm Clay Thompson.
I'm Draymond Green.
I'm Kevon Looney.
This is where the Warriors play.
KSRO, Santa Rosa.
From ABC News, I'm Richard Cantu. For taking up arms against the United States, 4 leaders of the so-called Proud Boys are looking at up to 20 years in prison following their convictions for seditious conspiracy by a Washington, D.C. jury.
Prosecutors laying out a mountain of evidence, including thousands of texts and videos showing that Proud Boys were among the first to break through those metal barriers protecting the Capitol. Government proved Ethan Nordine, Joseph Biggs, Zachary Real, and Group's chief Enrique Terrio saw themselves as Donald Trump's army, thirsting for violence and organizing for action. Pierre Thomas, ABC News, Washington.
The last president looking to delay New York's business fraud case against him, asking a federal judge to take control of the case.
Defense attorney Todd Blanche mentioned it at the end of a hearing at which the judge had asked the parties to agree on a trial date in either February or March of 2024. If that time frame holds, it would put Trump's criminal trial in the thick of his third campaign for the White House. Trump has pleaded not guilty to 34 felony counts of falsifying business records related to a 2016 hush payment to adult film actress Stormy Daniels. Aaron Katursky, ABC News, New York.
Arizona's Supreme Court ordered Republican Carrie Lake's lawyers to pay $2,000 for their unsuccessful challenge of Lake's defeat in last year's gubernatorial race to Democrat Katie Hobbs. Airbag problems bring BMW to recall 90,000 older vehicles.
If you own a 3 Series, 5 Series, or X5 made between 2000 and 2006, BMW says stop driving it immediately and go get the airbag replaced. That's because they have an extremely high probability of failure during a crash. This stems from a defect in the Takata-made airbag. Drivers who have an open recall notice can get replacement parts for free through their dealer.
ABC's Mike Dubusky. You're listening to ABC News.
Have you Googled yourself lately? Are there negative posts from an ex-employee or from a former client? Maybe an outdated news article or sensitive personal information about your family? Search engines don't always get it right. For right or wrong, it's your reputation on the line. That's where Reputation Defender by